Welcome back to another episode of Longshots. Back with my co-host,
I guess so. Is it
Doug
official?
Pfaff. But a very special guest today, Matthew Del Negro. Matthew, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Podcast, author, most famously known as an actor.
Number of different roles.
Yeah, number of different
roles.
of course, with
For
the
me,
Sopranos.
I would say Sopranos. For you, it could
City
be
on
Mayor
the-
of Kingstown.
Right.
I don't know. City on the Hill. Lots of great stuff. Fame and fortune.
Yes,
Just want to throw that out there.
So we love to
Don't hit
sit.
me.
We love to sit with creatives because I think creative folks are people that are just that are face the adversity in pursuing their dreams and their goals. Right. So like you being an actor, we can get into all the trials and tribulations that come in with perfecting that craft, but most importantly is the letdown, right? The guts to stick it out, the going on the auditions, but then the elation that comes from like landing that role and then it succeeding, because what the ultimate goal here is to fire everybody up about their goals and their dreams and to keep going, despite the challenges, despite the failures, despite like anybody
the waiting in between.
Oh my God,
The waiting in between, right?
Yes.
Like we talked about that. I got to speak with you about it on the way in. You're 53. We'll laugh about this. We started, world famous lacrosse player at BC.
World famous.
Right? World famous. World famous.
Yeah, everybody.
World famous. But like,
everybody knows him as that.
Right. But,
Yes.
but like, that's huge, by the way. For a guy who ended his lacrosse career in 10th grade.
Let the audience know that we are joking, not
Right.
world famous.
Right.
I was mediocre at best.
But mediocre at best. But that's funny that you say that. It's very humbling. I think that you say that. Anyone who walks on a Division I field with a lacrosse stick is pretty good.
Yeah,
Right?
I
It's
did.
fair.
I did okay.
You did okay.
It's a very athletic game, though.
Yeah, I did okay.
Tell us about it.
My joke is I was skinny, weak, and slow.
You're a starter.
The combination that
play
you don't
midfield?
want. In college, I played a lot of midfield because someone got hurt, so I ended up on the second midi line my sophomore year. But I was an attackman in high school and like freshman year at college. And so I was. I think my work ethic and my kind of hustle and dedication got me as far. I don't think it was.
That's so true in everything in life.
Yeah,
though.
kind of.
What
But I mean, like I say, and people go, "Oh, you're humble." I'm like, no. I mean, even in high school, I have got teammates that went and played at UVA, at Duke, another one UNH.
schools.
A couple of guys went to Roanoke, which was D3, but they were like,
they were
guys
good.
were All-American. Guy went to Brown. There were All-Americans around me.
You think you got picked up for your? Since we're similar in size, do you think you got?
You're a little taller than I am.
A little taller.
Yeah.
Do you get picked up because it's like we could use somebody 6'7"?
I mean, I don't know if it's 6'7", 6'4", 6'4".
6'7".
I think the size helped. Like I was saying, I wasn't fast. I had like a decently quick step, but I was not fast. Like I was never a sprinter. Okay. But I had size, and I was able to kind of, as an attackman, you can kind of, if you can find your place on the field,
tough to defend.
You can be in the right place at the right time, that kind of thing.
Well, I think when you're 6'4" and then you add the stick to it,
that's
a big advantage. As a midi, I was a midi at 5'8", at very maybe 5'9". We could round it up. You had a big advantage.
Yeah. It's funny though. As a midi, when I played more midi in college, I felt like I had, because I wasn't I wasn't fast. I felt like I had no juice from the top.
Yeah.
I couldn't really ISO on someone and make a move and get the step. Whereas as an attackman, I could, back then it seems different. But you kind of protect the stick, use your back. You could kind of come up around the back of the crease, and you drive them up, and then you could roll, and you could use your size. So like that was easier. That was better for me. as opposed to like, there was a guy, I was thinking of this guy, anybody who's from Westchester County would know this guy, Dom Finn, who we played against. He was at Yorktown. This other guy, Roy Colsey, who we played against, who was, they went on to like, Roy Colsey went on to play like the, US, I don't know, the world team, whatever.
Yeah.
These guys, I remember this guy, Dom Finn, he was so quick. He was a midi. You would see him, he'd be, come like this and turn and just boom. And it was like, boom, top shelf in the corner. These guys were so quick.
Yeah. That's what I love about the game.
I was not that. I was better from behind the cage or from the side or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is a joke that we're even talking about.
Lacrosse right maybe your lacrosse career, but it's always fun to talk about the game because it is a great game.
Yeah, and it's gotten better. We've talked about how now, I think sports has gotten kind of crazy where kids are playing club sports, or you have to play all around the year. It's like when we played, our parents didn't spend any money.
No.
You played football.
For PBC,
you played football in the fall.
Police Boys Club.
You played basketball in the winter, and you played lacrosse in the spring. Then I dropped basketball so I could go skiing a little bit in the winter.
Yeah.
But you played like box lacrosse maybe, but it wasn't like nothing was like as organized as it is now. Like when I say box lacrosse, it was like our coach
gym.
opening the gym before school, and we'd go play in the gym. That was box lacrosse.
Yeah.
It's like now, and you played with your buddies that you grew up with. So a lot of us that played football together also played lacrosse together. So there was camaraderie. Now it's it's different. It's like if you don't
join a traveling team.
Yeah, if you're not on a club, unless you're an amazing athlete that can just get away with it. But for the most part, if you're not on a club, which is like a lot of money and a lot of travel and getting hotels and all this crap, you kind of can't play the sport. You're not going to be playing at the level of everybody else.
No doubt.
And then what I don't like about it is that then it's like harder to play multiple sports.
Correct. Because it's year round.
Yeah. So now,
year round.
We were talking, my daughter is doing like, it's like there's volleyball and lacrosse. They overlap a lot.
Yeah.
It's
insane.
I liked it because we had great coaches. I learned so many lessons. Like I wrote the book 10,000 Noes, and I didn't realize when I wrote it that I would put so many stories from high school sports.
Yes.
And
it's just funny because how that happens. Like those coaches have like that discipline, right? Because I was like a very undisciplined high school kid, you know, and my high school coach was a hard ass and like an old deadhead, but like a hard ass. And was like
that deadhead hard
dude,
ass.
he would just but like I remember like specifically being like, oh, I can't come to practice on Saturday, I have to work. He's like, no, you don't, you have practice. And I was like, no, you don't understand, I have to go to work. He's like, no, you don't, you have to practice. And I was like, I can't. And he goes, okay.
I think those men are great.
Yeah, no, they are.
We just went out, a bunch of us, every year now.
And women,
we go
by
with our freshman football coach from John Jay. We go up to this place in Connecticut. Like I grew up in Westchester, but there's a place very close to where I grew up. We were just there last week, Thursday.
Yeah.
And this is our freshman football coach, John Hurley. Shout out to John Hurley. And you think about it, he taught health in 8th grade. We only had him, football season. So what did we have him for, like 13 weeks?
Yeah.
30 years ago?
Yeah.
And the impact he's made on all of our lives. And we get together and we go have dinner together, and it's guys from like a 6-year span of when he was coaching.
Wow.
And the impact he's had on all of these guys. And he was joking, he's saying he's got grandkids now, and he's like, he wants to go coach. He loves football. And he's like, I don't know if I can get a job now. He's like, they don't want me. He's like, I'd get arrested for what I did to you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's true.
That's true.
He tortured us.
That's true.
But it was the best thing for us.
It's funny because
right?
Conditioning.
I have two of those guys. I stopped playing lacrosse in 10th grade, stopped playing football in 11th grade, and ran track until 11th grade. Two coaches. Like you said, the great Bill Cherry, he was a gym teacher, but then also coached football and lacrosse. I think he just retired 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Amazing. And Don Scott. Don Scott was a biology teacher and my track coach. He has, I think, passed away from cancer. I think I saw that or something. But those two men left a lasting. Bill Cherry, I always talked about because I still saw him. My girls played travel there, and I'm like, that's like I say, the great. With you, I'm like, that's the great Bill Cherry.
Yeah.
Because in my life,
it's a huge impact.
He was,
and we had that. So we had like Hurley freshman year. We were so well conditioned. We were smaller than the other teams. But
we were not great, but we could run with everybody.
And then we had
fourth quarter, we're still running.
Yeah, totally. And we had our coach Peebs, who passed away. It was incredible. Like, you think about this in this day and age. He used to be smoking a stogie while we were doing. He played like
fantastic.
I think he was like a quarterback at Colgate back in the day, and he was like he would be smoking a stogie while we were doing wind sprints.
Yeah.
And he was he was awesome. And then we had Jim Capalbo was our varsity coach, and he was like. You would drive past the school on a Sunday. So we play Saturday. And if you drove past the school on Sunday, you'd see all these trucks outside. It was the whole coaching staff all day Sunday watching film for the next week. And then we'd come in Monday and he would have like a 20-page, if we were playing like a wing T offense the next week, some of our rivals had a wing T. We had like a 20-page packet that if you were on the line, you had calls you would make. If the defensive end was like a shade outside you, that was one call. If they were inside, that was another call. Like on the line, you're calling it. Then our quarterback had audibles.
Dedication.
It was insane.
I mean, and it was
what do you
think that guy was making a year?
He was wasn't
making.
He just loved it.
So
it was like a college. He was like a college coach,
and that's amazing. So let's rip that into here. We are. You're 53 now. You've been at acting for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
The most excited you've ever been.
The most excited, you're cranking right now. No joke.
This year's been a good year.
I can't turn on a great streaming show without seeing you in it. You usually play a pretty good bad guy.
Lately, I said I've cornered the market on douchebags.
Holy shit. And I'm so grateful that that's not you because I'm like, no, like he's a nice guy. They're like, he's going to kill you. I'm like, no, he won't. But honestly,
he's playing pretend.
From high school football, right, to now.
Yeah.
When we talk about this all the time. Wow. So I'm hearing like just a great work ethic. Don't quit. Yeah. I don't know, right? Like, because you haven't quit.
Yeah.
And Sopranos is how long ago is Sopranos?
Sopranos is I was third. That was like 23 years ago.
Wow.
I got that. I could tell you exactly when I got it. December 20th, 2001 is when I found out I got it. I shot it 2002.
Amazing.
That fourth season. I did a little bit after that, but mainly it was that fourth season. So I've gone back and I'm rewatching that show now, and I just caught up to my season. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, "Oh my God, do they have like filters on the screen or like Vaseline?" I look so young
I am.
Because I'm like, I know I look young. I see myself on that, and I'm like, "Oh, I was a lot younger then."
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You think so? Maybe is that the difference? Maybe that was the role, that was the look, and all of a sudden now, like Mayor of Kingstown, you're not a good guy.
No. Mayor of Kingstown.
Although, by the way, is anybody a good guy on that show?
That show is
Bunny. Bunny's a good guy, maybe. Bunny.
Yeah, but everybody does questionable things in Kingstown.
Yes,
but I'm laughing as I'm watching it. I watched the most recent episode yesterday, and Hugh Dillon, who plays Ian, he's also creator of the show along with Taylor Sheridan. So I was watching
legends. Two legends.
Yeah. So I'm watching Ian's character, and I'm like, wow, he's maybe more despicable than Breen, my guy. I mean, my guy is like a psycho, but Ian is like, he does some shady stuff this season.
No doubt. Like he does shady shit every season.
Yeah, every season.
I mean, I think it's getting more and more like he's really, Taylor is probably, or together, collectively, they're making him worse.
Yeah.
Or sicker.
Yeah. So you want to hear a cool story,
about
like, you talk about Longshots. So I did Taylor's Wind River. We shot it in 2016. Taylor wrote and directed it. Renner is the lead of it. Hugh was in it with me. That's where I met him. James Jordan, who has been in like every one of Taylor's shows since then. He's on Landman and Lioness right now. We all did this thing together. We had a huge shootout out in the snow. That's where I met Hugh. And at the time, he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I grew up in this border town in Canada, and we had all these prisons around, and I actually wrote a show about it. I was like, oh, that's cool. He's like, I wrote it like 10 years ago. He's like, Taylor and I are going to make it. But like at this point, Sicario had been out, Hell or High Water had been out, and then we were doing Wind River. So Taylor he already was like known as this great new writer on the scene, actor turned writer. Yeah, but he wasn't, it was pre-Yellowstone. So Hugh, I read that script, the pilot for Mayor of Kingstown back then, and I was like, this is awesome. But I was imagining like a low budget version of it, because I'm like, how are you gonna make this thing? Flash forward to 2020 or 2021, whenever it came out, and I'd see like the opening shot is like an aerial shot of this prison with like 200, prisoners in the yard. And I was like, wow, they really did it. Because, Yellowstone came out. Yeah. Right. Taylor became, Paramount Plus, basically. Yeah. Word. And then, but you think about it, Hugh wrote that was 2016. He said he wrote it 10 years ago. So that's
2006.
So 2006. Then Taylor obviously helped shape it as well. Mm-hmm. And together they, kind of realized it. But and he gave himself that shot. So you talk about like for Hugh, like talk about long shots,
that's you. That's a good point, right? Like we talk about that. You talk about it so much with some of the other guys like Ben and obviously Victor, and now we've got Matt. But I'm just thinking about, when I say 2006, I think that's 20 years ago.
That's a year before my son was born. I wasn't even a dad in 2006.
And to stay with it though, right? And like to not give up on it. Like that's the whole spirit of like of this is, to not.
Well, I always say if I were smart, I would have like, if you looked at it many, many, many crossroads for me where it was really insane to keep going. Right. Like the all external signs were like,
I better get a real job.
Dude, you should probably go do something else.
Right. Have you ever been to that spot where you're like, I got to pick up some bartending shifts or something like that?
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, after Sopranos, I thought, and that was a long time ago, but I thought when I got Sopranos, that was like the biggest get that I will ever get, because I was.
Did you know it at the time?
Well, I knew. This is what I'm saying. Like I've had big gets since then, but because I'm older and I've got a family now. Like there are other things in my life that are like my perspective on it is different than it used to be. And also, I've seen things that I thought were going to be some huge thing that didn't. So now, when I get something, I'm super appreciative and excited. But I'm also like, okay, let's see how it goes. Right. Whereas when I got Sopranos, I was like, oh my God, this is Sopranos. This is like, it doesn't get any bigger. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be on Letterman's couch next year. Yeah. I'm going to have like I'm going to have like a, a 7-picture deal. I don't know what I thought I was
projecting everything. Wait,
totally.
Honey, is that the helicopter coming to get me?
I mean, it was like, it was such a, not only was it was a big deal because I knew I was going to be in the majority of the season when I got it. Right. But I also just was so naive that I was like, okay, here we go. Now I'm in. Yeah. And I did that. HBO, at least to me at that point, and I've also heard from others in the beginning of Sopranos, it wasn't like it paid a lot. It was way better than the bartending. I was making money doing bartending, but it really wasn't a lot. People are shocked when I tell them. And I did that. I went out to LA the following year for pilot season. Everybody was super excited to meet me, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to get, where's my show? Right. I mean, literally, people, I remember being at NBC and meeting all the VPs of like, and they're like, oh my God, cousin Brian, can you sign a picture for the guy in the video room? Loves you. I'm like, oh, this is great. Yeah. Where's my next job? Nothing. Got nothing. Came back to New York, tail between my legs, and was bartending again, and bartending for like another 2 years after that. Yeah. Wow. Then so yes, when you talk about being humbled and just being
So what's the thought process for those 2 years, right? So I know you did some some theater acting and so is that where you go back to your base?
I mean, I was working, but yeah, it's like I did theater. I did, at that point, I probably did a couple of other TV shows, but it wasn't anything as big, and then the next big thing was West Wing, which was, I want to say, let me see, that was like 2005, I think. So 2002, that was 3 years later. That was the next big thing. And that was like, I was out there for pilot season in LA, and I went in for what I thought was just a guest spot, and I got it. And I went to the fitting, and they put me in a bunch of different suits. And I was like, this is a pretty extravagant fitting for a guest spot. Mm-hmm. And the guy that was, this guy, Phil Heyman, I believe that's his last name, was the costumer. And he's like, hey, at the fitting, he goes, just so you know, John Wells is kind of like auditioning people with this, because it was like the Jimmy Smits storyline was they were going on the campaign trail, and I was brought in to be his advance man. Right. He's like, if it goes well, he's probably going to bring you back. And I was like, huh, interesting. I'm like, a little bit of pressure, So I go do, and I had a lot to do in that first episode, and it went well. And they brought me back for the finale of that season. Yeah. And I was like, huh. And then they invited me to the wrap party, and I was actually driving back to the East Coast the next morning. And as I'm leaving the wrap party, one of the executive producers, this guy, Alex Graves, goes, hey, we'll see you at the end of the summer. And I was like, can you put that in writing? He's like, we'll see you at the end of the summer. So I'm like, huh. That ended up being like, they brought me back out for 3 out of the next 5 of the next season. And I went out, still didn't know. And then it just kept going and going. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, cool. Wow. So that the West Wing thing was different than Sopranos. Sopranos, I knew I was going to be in a lot of it right away when I got it. West Wing, it was like dribs and drabs, and it just kind of turned into something. Mm-hmm. And then that's what prompted us to move to just stay out West. And then, but then it's like gangbusters for a little bit, and then there would be like a 7-month gap of no work where you're just like,
What do you do with all that feeling, all those feelings of self, like the self-pity, all that stuff? Like, what do you do, like as a person who's had at that point success, like has experienced success, on the big screen, and then like now you're like 7 months, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I handled it well sometimes, not as well other times. Always like kind of having friends, like a good group of friends that also did it. Mm-hmm. I would say like that's kind of why I created my podcast later on, was to create mimic what I had, which was a core group of friends that I met mostly in New York. We were all doing it, and so one of us would be talking the other one off the ledge one day, and then like a support the next day or the next hour, right? You'd be talking them off the ledge, and like that helped me through a lot. Just kind of all mindset stuff. It's all like
Does your wife? So then you have a wife.
Yep.
And then you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
And you're still going through these 7 months here, 7 months.
I mean,
there.
that's the thing that's tough.
Is that a distraction?
Well, it's
good, pleasant, tough. Right. Like I know, I can speak to it. You're like, it's because it's also more bills.
Well, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough because you're supporting a family, and then when we had kids, especially, there's just a lot of pressure. Because you're. I mean, and she has been amazing. Where like. It's a very weird thing.
Deirdre,
your
wife.
Yes, Deirdre, my wife.
I gotta say, Deirdre. I know her. I get the brownie points for that one. Woo!
And then all the time. With April, you got to get on the show.
I got to do it.
Me under the bus.
I bring people together.
I mean,
keep marriages together. I do.
But when you think about it, it's like I would say to be the person who is going after the thing is hard. But you chose it, Now she chose me, and I was already doing this, so she chose it too in a way. But it's almost it's harder to be the person adjacent to the person who's going after it. So I'm like live and die by it. Yeah, It's like, but I mean, basically, my movie that I just made is kind of about this. It's like, what's the shrapnel of what's in the wake of the person who's pursuing their dreams?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you can look at it in one way as it's noble. Like, people will be like, oh, that's really cool. You're following your passion. And in other ways, you go like, it's selfish too. I'm doing, it just depends how you look at it. And you think of like how it affects your wife and your kids. Yeah. Sometimes it's really cool. A lot of times with this, or at least with my career, the uncertainty is sometimes unbearable.
It's tough. It's really tough.
It's really
on a marriage,
tough.
Right?
It's very tough because there's if you have a job that's just kind of like a steady thing. I mean, I actually think nobody has certainty, especially in this day and age. It's like, it's like people get laid off, companies go down, whatever. So nobody has this. I think people lie to themselves and think they have certainty.
Well, that's the biggest. That's like you're asking. He's asking you the question, which was, did you ever think at any point in time the uncertainty of being an actor would be better for the certainty of corporate America? That's not real.
Yeah.
I mean, all we have to do is pick up a paper today and realize these companies are slashing 4, 6, 10,000 jobs. Yeah. You're getting a text. Hey, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Like, and then if you're a little bit older, do you say, shit, I should have been an actor?
Yeah.
Because
that's like Jim Carrey talks about his dad, and he's like, what I learned from my dad is that you can also fail at the thing that you didn't want to do.
Right.
He's like, so why don't I just go for
do
the
what
thing
you
I
want
do want to do?
That's right.
And
that's right.
That would be the thing that I say about what I do that's maybe different is as an actor, you are so aware of the uncertainty because it's in your face all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All the time. Like, I remember my sister a while ago was now she does kind of reading curriculum. She's like adjacent. She's still in education, but she was a teacher at one point. And I remember she was like, she didn't get tenured, and she was interviewing for a job. And my mom going like, hey, did you talk to Christine? She's interviewing for a job. And I was like, that's what I do every day. Right. Like every day of my life is interviewing for a job. Yeah. It's like, even when you're on a job, a lot of times you're interviewing for the next job. Auditioning.
Yeah.
Oh you're still...
Or a longer role, a better role, a deeper role. Or you don't
know when, it's like, is the show going to get canceled? Are you going to get killed off? There's really not,
Are you going to get killed off?
There's not a lot of... There's not a lot of certainty. So you, at least in a weird way, being aware of it and having it so present is like you're forced to kind of fix your mind and your mindset so that you're prepared for uncertainty, because that is what it's going to be. Whereas maybe in other ways, like if you're in corporate America and you get let go, it feels more like the rug got pulled out from under you because you weren't necessarily expecting it in the way that it can happen for an actor. Like 100%. It's just like even the best gig, especially nowadays, like it's rare to see a show go past 5 seasons these days.
Unless you're Jeff Probst.
It's rare. No, well, I'm saying you have like those.
Survivor has been on for 125 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to the moon.
Law and Orders, they have those, or they have the CSIs or NCIS.
But it's the same thing.
But like for most shows these days, they're not going more than like 3, 4, 5 seasons. Even look at Stranger Things, which is huge show.
Yeah.
And they're in their 5th season. So it's only 5 seasons and the show's done, right? Now that's a huge, massively successful show, but they're saying that they're ending it, right? So that's like every job comes to an end as an actor.
I think every job comes to an end, period.
Yeah.
And I think that you need to, even in corporate America, I don't know that the 30-year job exists. I never did that. I never stayed at a job for more than 10 years.
Did you want like when they called you up and they were like, "Hey Doug, thanks, but no thanks anymore." Like you didn't see that coming at all.
No, you don't see it because if like any good actor, you're focusing on the task at hand. which is maybe keeping that role a little bit longer, or in a corporate role, you're doing it from I got to build out my product line. Do I have the content? Do I have the people? Do we have the tech? So you're kind of just building through it. I don't know that in the 3 other times, I remember the first time it was the guy that I worked for was there one day and gone the next. I had never experienced anything like that. I was a vice president, director of sales, corporate America. I had been climbing the ladder from account executive to team manager to vice president all over 10 years. And then this mentor of mine was gone. And I was like, I came into work on Monday and his door was literally on the hinge. I'm like, where's, and they were like, yeah, he's not here with the company anymore. I'm like, really? Why? What? You don't know. Yeah. I think I was 40 or 41, married, 2 children, life's going well. And I'm like, oh my God, I had made plans. I'm so grateful for this, that we could talk about this, because I think we make plans, right? Kind of like you're saying with some of your roles. I was going to ride that job. I was 42. I'm like, in 20 years, I could be the senior vice president, and I could, in my head, I could, they'll kill off Tony Soprano. Right. They'll promote my character. I'll be the head of the family. Right? So that's what I'm doing. And then until I show up and he's gone. And then I'm like, then you go home that night and you're like,
you could be next.
I could be next because I was his guy. Yeah. He took me up the ladder for 10 years. Yeah. And then I think, we could talk about this too, because we bumped into each other last night at Mass. Yeah. How much of your faith plays a big role in that? We talk about it all the time.
Well, and then that's another question from that is, so you're at a premiere and you run into James Gandolfini, and it had been 10 years since you saw him, right? Yeah. And he leans into you and he gives you that pep talk, right? Like how challenging it is to be with your family and to pursue this. Do you believe in that synchronicity of this is
divine intervention,
right? Because there's been times where I've been I'm not going to do this anymore. Who do I think I fucking am? What am I doing? Because a lot of the time, and I've heard you talk about this too, and we'll talk about that. It's every time people ask me what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a waiter. But then my girlfriend, who you guys, or my fiance, that you guys just
I didn't want to reel you in again. You blew that.
My fiance, she reminds me oh no, but he has a podcast and he has this and he has that, and and I'm still hiding it. But do you call that a God shot where you're wow, I got to continue doing this. This is it.
Yeah, I've had so many of those moments of the one that comes to my mind, the first one, but it's happened many times. It was after Sopranos. I want to say it was actually my 34th birthday. I was living on the Upper West Side. I remember talking to my dad. We lived close to Central Park, and I was in Central Park talking to my dad and just being basically it's really bad. I don't know how I'm going to it was whatever I had to my monthly bills. I was I don't know where it's coming from. And getting back to my apartment and opening my mail, and there were residuals that were literally the amount that I was just saying that I needed. Wow. And I was
wow.
Wow. And there have been many moments like that, or where I go, I don't know.
He can. Yeah, so just let him.
You go I don't know what's I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this. And then a job would drop into my lap.
So you say that. So that's really great. And we talk about it all the time. You just said it, quote unquote. I don't know how many times that's happened. Right. But yet we fight with giving over I think I can drive the bus. Yeah. And and we'll roll back. That guy gets blown out. I don't know what I'm going to do. Right. My phone rings. It's somebody from Fox. They're like, hey, we're building out the New York office, and you're the guy for the job. I'm like, who is this? Yeah. But that wasn't the first time. It wasn't the last time. Yeah. So when, again, in our lives, do we go, I don't have to worry about it. God's got me. It's probably not going to be, and I say this all the time, it's not going to be all helicopters and limousines. Right. But and then we say this, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord's, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. When do you believe that? Well, how many times, how many residual checks, how many bills that are covered, how many times are you not put out on the street with your wife and kids? Because as far as I know, in everything that we've read about you, you've never been homeless.
Right. But I thought I was
still
going to be many times.
Of course.
You're still together in your marriage.
Yes.
Your kids love you. I see you guys at church together.
Yeah.
They're doing great things. You're doing great things.
To answer, I would say one thing that was very helpful was in 2017, I started my podcast because I was basically frustrated with my business. There was like something I was on, it kind of dried up, and then I kind of couldn't get arrested for a while. And then I was like, screw this. I don't want to have to wait for someone else to hire me for me to like bring my gifts to the table. So I said, I'm just going to create my own little sandbox, even if it's like, two people watching or listening. I'm going to just do this thing that I can do on my, I can will it into existence. Mm-hmm. And when I did that, I started talking to people. It's called 10,000 Noes. So it's all about all of this stuff we're talking about. And when I did that, I started talking to people who are really extraordinary people in all walks of life, not just in my industry. And they would be telling me these stories, and they were like up here when I'm talking to them, but they would tell me stories, and every one of them was like down and out at one point. And then they came through the fire and they got to the other side. So you sit down with enough people that tell you that story, and all of a sudden you're like, well, they did it, and then I could do it. And that really
1,000%.
changed.
That's how this started.
That changed. That changed
gives you
me.
the confidence to keep going.
And
that's why I DM'd you.
Yeah.
I saw his, and I'm like, wow, this is great. And then all of a sudden we start.
I was working
to talk. I'm going through a transition. And that's great. You're doing that now. So
But to answer your question, at that point, when I started that shifted my perspective, because the whole thing was like, failure is just opportunity in disguise, which is my dad saying. He used to always say that. But then I started to really go like I used to complain the first part of my career that like I would work a fair amount, but I was kind of like, I had friends that would work and they'd make a lot more money. I wasn't making a lot of money, so it looked good from the outside, but it was tough on the inside. But at that point when I started doing the podcast, I started to go, all that time, what I was doing, I wasn't getting paid as well, but I was working with a bunch of different talented people, and I got to do a lot. People got to know me from different shows, and all of a sudden I was like roughly, at that point, I guess I was like early to mid 40s, and I started to go, actually, my slow career, in a way, I built a foundation, and I built relationships with a lot of people that would then hire me back. They were going on to do more things. They would hire me back. Like a lot of my jobs have been recurring jobs with people that I worked with on this show. And then they had another show and they'd bring me back for that. Like Hugh, like Mayor of Kingstown. That's from doing Wind River. There was a relationship there that didn't get me the job, but it certainly helped.
Well, he knew you.
He knew me.
And I think, isn't it sometimes who you know, not what you know?
Well, it's also, he said to me when he
goes on that show too, right?
Edie Falco, So,
yeah.
So it's like you know, it's like you're, at that point I flipped it and I was like, actually I kind of paid my dues up to now, but now it's kind of feels like those things are starting to build. It feels like they've started to build, and like and in some ways I've given over to, like, I don't know from day to day or month to month what's going to happen, but I do have a faith that you know, things, like you said, it's like I don't know how, but I have faith that it will work out. If I keep doing my part, working hard, showing up, doing a good job. But, you know, I don't.
Is there somebody that you've met along the way, like a fellow actor or somebody that you've, like, you heard their story and you're like, all right, like he didn't or she didn't, you know, make it and then at a certain age did, and you're like, okay, well then maybe that'll be me.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people like that. You know, you see if you listen to enough podcasts or you
Sanders.
You scroll around,
Right?
yeah.
Of course,
Of
course.
I mean, these
that's always that's always the thing, you know. Like,
like Thomas Edison too discovered the light bulb at like whatever 50 something or
1,000
62
experiments.
or
Well, there's
whatever.
we were talking about The Wire before. We were talking about The Wire. So an actor named John Doman I worked with on City on a Hill and then again on Long Bright River. And I had the opportunity. So he was Rawls on The Wire.
Okay.
He was like McNulty's boss.
Yep.
And when we did Long Bright River, it took place in Philly, and he's from Philly. So I said, hey, why don't we go down and show me around town because I want to see it, whatever. So I picked him up in Brooklyn. We drove down there, and I had this like amazing day with this veteran actor who I've seen in so many things, and I had worked with him just a little bit on City on a Hill, but I got to know him better doing this other one. And his story is like he was actually in advertising. I mean, I won't go into the whole story, but like he was in Vietnam. He came back. He took an acting class, and then he was like, it was like just like you're saying, he was like hiding it from everybody because he was working a corporate job, and then he gradually was like sneaking out for auditions. But he didn't really start working till he was like, I think 40-ish, and he's done so much, and now he's about 80. And if you look at his IMDb, he's done so much work in the last 30 years.
Really what
and
it's
you know,
about, right?
and I look at that and you go like, all right, you know, that doesn't happen for everybody. He's got a great career. It doesn't happen for everybody, but it is inspiring to see that. And the more you're looking for those stories, also the more you attract those stories, and then you adopt that mindset, and you're like, yeah, it will work out. And that's a mix.
You figure out is that the spiritual algorithm? Is that what it is? Because the more I'm open to it, the more I see it. And
you know what it is?
Right?
It's like, Tony Robbins talks about this thing, that the reticular activating system. Like if you're searching for a yellow car, all of a sudden you'll see a bunch of yellow cars all around. I do think that is what it's like on social media. If you follow things that are inspiring, you'll get more inspiring things coming in your feed.
Yeah. Go big and take it off social media.
Yeah, no,
let's go to the biggest thing ever, The Secret. Okay? If I'm putting that out there, I'm magnetizing love and positivity, and I love money and money loves me. Life is so good, life is so easy, all good things happen to me. That's what you're saying. If I think about yellow cars, I get yellow cars. If I think about love and happiness and good things and money and jobs, they come. I'm a magnet within the universe, and I can attract them. Yeah. Now, the difficult thing is maintaining that frequency. It is a frequency. Mm-hmm. And when you do break that frequency, shit falls off the hill. Sure. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. And then you got to start your climb again. Right? So it is exactly that. That's what I love about it.
You know what's been working for me lately is I told you that Neville Goddard thing. So my buddy who I made the film with, Mickey Brasch, the film we made, he told me about this guy, and he's got stuff on YouTube. But his thing, I'll listen to it. The thing that has worked is he talks about starting from the end. So, for example, when we were making the movie, we were just like, this is going to be an amazing movie. Yeah. And we're in Oklahoma, and we have to find a car that's going to be like our.
Now I know this whole story.
Yeah, because you've seen on.
I love it.
But here's the thing. So we found this '72 Caddy.
So cool.
On Facebook Marketplace. Yep. We paid like $2,500 for it. We get in the car. We paid cash. We get in the car. We drive 9 miles, and it conks out. And we're sitting in the thing. We have to call AAA. First, we called the guy. We're like, dude, the car, broke down. He's like,
9 miles later.
Yeah. So what it turned. Anyway, we figured. So bottom line, we're sitting in the car, and we had both made a pledge to each other, like we're gonna, whatever happens, we're gonna be Tom Brady in the huddle. Like my buddy came up with this. He's like, if you look at Tom Brady in the huddle, the only way he comes back from like being down 28-3 in the Super Bowl is he's in the huddle going like, yeah, we're going to win. Yeah. And the rest of the guys are looking at him. They're like, well, if he's so calm and confident, then we can buy in. But if he starts freaking out, they freak out 1,000%. And whatever. So we were like, we need to be the Tom Bradys on this. We wrote it. Mm-hmm. I'm playing the lead. He's directing me. Yeah. Everybody's going to look to us. So we're sitting in the car. on the side of the road after 9 miles driving, and we're just laughing. And I go, it's going to be a great story from the stages of Sundance. And that became our mantra, and it doesn't matter if it even gets into Sundance. It doesn't matter. That became the mantra. It's going to be a great story because we're going to have a great movie. That's a certainty. That's we just put that in our mind. So all of these other ups and downs now are just great stories.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to end up there,
that takes all the pressure off.
And so
You're just having fun now.
So that kind of is, I think, a good way to approach it just in life. If you like that's happening, then whatever you're going through, you're just like, yeah, this is the part of the movie that everybody wants to watch. Because nobody goes to the movies to see everybody like
something linear.
Yeah,
right?
no one. You don't go to the movies and watch a character have everything they want. You go to the movies and you watch them struggle for the majority of the movie, and then finally at the end maybe in the good movies get a different version than what they thought they were going to get. Yeah. They get something that's not what they thought they wanted in the beginning, but it's what they need. And so if you look at your life that way, then when you're in the middle of those,
when you're in the shit,
when you're in the shit, you actually look at it kind of like an artist and go, oh, I'm in the middle of the second act here.
Yeah.
Like this is the part where the hero loses it all. Yeah. All right. I got to
So when somebody says, like, I love this. Somebody said it the other day. Yeah, life is in session. Life is in session.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
whether you like it or not.
Right. Like, and then the great, I remember too, because you're saying it. I had the young kids. I had the wife. We were in between sports season. It's winter season. My wife's like, we should go skiing with all of the other Long Beach families. I'm like, and who the fuck is paying for that? Like skiing? Do you know how much skiing is, honey? Like, why would you suggest that? And then, but it happens organically. Everybody wants to happen but me. Like the great man of faith that I am, I'm going to stand out in front of it. I'm like, we can't afford this. We can't. Great man of faith. We can't. We shouldn't. Why would we? Yeah. Those are really bad things. My mother-in-law rents a condo. It's like this studio with a loft. I'm like, the four of us are going to spend weekends? This is torture. Yeah. But even then, you're paying for lift tickets. And I'm like, how are we going to do this? How am I going to pay for this? Thanks, Mom. But now I got to figure out lunches, gas, a truck, clothes, equipment, the whole 9 yards. Then God shows up in the form of another Long Beach friend, not like you. He goes, hey, why don't you be, we're all instructors here at the mountain. Why don't you become a snowboard instructor? I'm like, well, first of all, I'm 40. Second of all, I suck at snowboarding. They're like, no, you don't. You just take the test. Just show up. Just do the, I take the test. I pass the test.
Now everybody gets free lift tickets.
Yeah.
I get the job. Yeah. The lift tickets are free. The clothing and rentals and equipment is 50% off. I'm getting paid. I'm getting tipped. I'm like, I just figured out the answer. Now I can be this vice president and director of sales for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then I get a call from Fox. And here we go again. I get to quit the job as instructor. Even though I loved it, I was having so much fun.
Yeah.
We get to rent a house on the mountain. A house. Forget the one bedroom. Now we got the house on the mountain, ski in, ski out. I'm an executive over at Fox. And now you start projecting from there.
Yeah.
Right? I think the key is everything that we're saying. Don't project. Enjoy. Live.
Yeah, just be.
Let's just do Monday.
Yeah.
Let's have fun with this.
Yeah.
Right now, right? We have heat. We have hot water. The sheets are clean. I'm not hungry. The kids are all right. I think that's a song.
Yeah.
But can we enjoy this?
That's one of the, I'll credit Blake Robbins, who co-wrote the movie and directed it. We would be working on something and like inevitably like a location would fall through for like 2 days from now or whatever. And we're starting the day and I'm like, well, what do you think? And he's like, we're not going to solve that right now. Let's shoot the scenes we're shooting right now.
Love that.
And let's let that work out. Like we're gonna ruin today if we're thinking about that. We do need to deal with it, but let's just shoot these scenes right now. And inevitably, we would shoot these scenes. We'd be fully in it, and then something would fall into place, and we would figure that out. And we figured all that stuff out. It was a great lesson of like, if you're too far ahead of yourself. If you
can't enjoy the ride.
Well, if you're not present for today's scenes, yeah, maybe you are going to lose the location there, but these scenes were terrible today because you guys weren't in it.
Yeah.
You were
You're killing two
you were
things.
half there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about
in
it.
a way.
Ruining
So it's
two
like,
things.
at least just do this and then do that.
So this, I don't know who said this. I do know who said it, but I don't know who said it. But I know somebody famous said it. Some of the worst things that we thought of never happened.
No.
It's something
Yeah.
like that. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, but what about that? And then it works itself out.
Yeah.
Like, why do we waste time worrying about that bill, that college, that kid, that it's a one-off, big deal. He got drunk at the keg party. Like, let's not cash out on having hope for him to be awesome. Right? And that's like the big scene, I think, that we do. We could just lose, like, let's enjoy the car broke down. Let's enjoy the time together.
Yeah.
Let's not cancel the movie.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's just a lot of like the doom and gloom that comes into our minds that we just think that everything is just the end all of everything. You know, like everything, whether we like it or not, is going to pass.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't end up dead or in prison, like you can get through it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's not going to be that bad, and you're going to learn a lot from it, and you're going to come out of it way, way better than you did.
That's
before
the
you
other
walked
thing.
into
Everything's going to, like, when they say this too shall pass, that's like the stuff that you love and the stuff that you hate. Like the pain is going to pass too, but also the stuff that you love. So my takeaway is like, if the more I can be just kind of satisfied on the inside and like, you know, present and happy on the inside, not like just regardless of like whether it's going my way or it's not, if you can kind of stay here, you're I don't know that like if everything comes internally, it's usually better than relying on external, because if it's external, that's going to shift all the time.
Yeah.
It's going to be constantly shifting.
any one emotion I can't really attach myself to because I'll run with it. You know what I mean? It's like deadly for me. You know,
Well, we've talked about that a lot.
I just have to just like really be okay with just like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like this is what's happening, but not holding on to it too much, right? So like I really would have to say in the last 9-10 years of my life, I've really focused on just like letting things go, good or bad. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, this is good. That's happening. That's cool. If it's bad, it's okay. I've been
That's
here
cool
before.
too.
I've been here before. No problem. You know what I mean? And just knowing that this too shall pass, you know?
Well, what about, which I think is what I hear too, and I love it. God, did you ever think you'd be sitting on a podcast with the two of us? I mean, who would ever think of that anyway? But that you're talking about
without my flannel,
right?
too.
Yeah, without a flannel. I don't even.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
Taylor Sheridan,
Yeah.
right? Like to think about that. I mean, I sit here, you say his name, I'm blown off my chair because you work with him. I watch all his shows. I'm like, this guy has like, wow, it's one great show after the next, right? And then the thing I love about him is kind of like what I love about you too, which is fun. And even you, the way you popped in, like all of a sudden I'm watching a show and I'm like, honey, was that Matt? I didn't even know he was in this show. All of a sudden I'm watching a show. I'm like, this is really great. And it says Taylor Sheridan. I'm like, now I'm almost upset with him. I'm like, how many great shows can this guy possibly have?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. And then he's also in the show. Like, sometimes it's so obscure. I'm like, was that Taylor Sheridan?
Yeah,
Was that just him? She's like, I think it was. I'm like, can we rewind in this day and age on streaming? Like, quick, give me the, the flat thing. But it's like, wow. Like, I wonder if, I mean, we don't have regret. We don't want to, we don't regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it, right? But like those times that you thought were the end of the world. Hey, Dad, I've had those, and I know you just recently lost your dad, and I lost mine a couple of years ago. He was the go-to for me.
Yeah.
Now, I always knew, and I never really got to that point, but if I needed the money, right, to carry me over, I could go to my dad.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, I'm that guy with my kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm that guy. Holy cow. I miss the conversations.
Yeah.
I miss being able to do that. But I'm grateful that I can now be that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if these times of difficulty, or that we think are difficult. I didn't get the role. That didn't work out. Oh my God, I never planned on being fired from that job or this job or whatever it was. Those are the things that got me to where I am today. Your career is blowing up. You're in one of the hottest shows, a couple of the hottest shows. You're producing your own movie. Again, being a part of it, you did a GoFundMe. People were all over it. So many people there to support you and what you're doing. I think it speaks volumes because they are like, well, he's really good at what he does. He's a really good bad guy or this guy. Or
that was
right.
Talk about the Kickstarter was a real
Kickstarter.
That was a real interesting process because basically we were going to do the film. We had producers that I had worked with before, and we long story short, originally it was like 1.2 million was what we were thinking. That seemed like it was going to be tough to raise. Then we tried to do it on our own. We were like, we could do it for 550. And then that even was like
we just cut it in half.
And a producer,
1, 2,
and a producer came to us that we knew that was like friends with Blake, and he's like, look, the reason it's tough is because he's like, no offense to Matt, he's a great actor, but even at 550, it's not a great investment. He doesn't have foreign sales, like he doesn't, whatever. Like you're going to have to do it for even less. And Blake was like, do you want to make this movie or not? He's like, I think we're going to have to do a Kickstarter and raise the money ourselves. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, that's an ego thing, right?
Ooh. It was an ego. Yeah, I did not want to do it. Because I'm like, then I'm like admitting that I don't have it to put in. I had some to put in, but I didn't have what we needed. And then I'm asking people to like fund my dream. I'm like, so, I just didn't want anything to do. It was just too embarrassing.
And you know what? I think that's interesting, not to cut you off. I think a lot of people, so that's the way, maybe that is ego deflation. We talked about ego a little bit. We all carry it. Do you know that people, like when that came out, I was like, oh my God, what an opportunity for me to be a part of this film.
That's what I learned.
I was so excited. I didn't even give that much money. But I'm like, from the stages of Sundance, I'm going to go, we talked about this at Synergy in Long Beach.
Yeah.
I was so excited that he gave me the opportunity to take my lunch money. But I didn't
see that because all I had in my head was, what kind of shit are people going to be talking about me?
Oh my God!
When I got like, did you see Del Negro was like asking for money? Like I don't give a shit about his fucking film. Like I got so it was really hard for me to do that. And then finally Blake goes, look, do you want to make this or not? You started writing it in 2013. I mean, I wrote the first draft in 2013.
Wow.
And it kept coming back. I wrote like 3 mediocre drafts, and then I brought him in, and then we got a great draft.
Wow.
So I finally knew I had what I thought was going to be great. And he's basically like, do you want to make it or not? Like, how uncomfortable are you willing to get? And I was like, and then I remember I was up in Toronto. I was working on a show, and I told the other actor, I was like, I'm about to do this thing. And he's like, oh, I could never do that. He's like, oh my God, I could never do it. And now I'm like, oh God, what am I doing? But I put out emails to people that were close, like prior to the public launch. And I basically said all that. I said, like, look, if you don't want to respond, I get it. If you're like, I don't want to support Del Negro's dream, like I got my own kids, I'm putting through sports and college and whatever, I get it. I go, if you're even just reading this, I appreciate it. And I said, I believe it's going to be something that's great, but like everybody thinks their own thing's going to be great. And I basically sent this out, and the response was, it was a huge life lesson. It was a huge life lesson. It was like, one guy in particular, and he doesn't want to be named, but it was a guy I played lacrosse with at school. I almost didn't even want to send him the email because I'm like, I'm not like tight with him. He's a couple years older. He threw in a significant chunk early on that I like. When he sent this to me, he emailed me back very quickly and was like, I want to put it, like I wasn't even asking for that much. He said, I want to put in this. Is there a way to get equity? I said, we could do that. We can give you points or something, but it would have to be this much. And it's not, I was like, look, I love it. I think it's going to be great, but it's a
risk.
it's not really. I said, you can make more money doing what you do than this. And
With
he's
that
like-
money.
He goes, I don't care. I think it sounds cool. He'd seen the pitch deck.
Yeah.
He goes, I think it sounds cool. I love supporting friends with a dream. This sounds cool. I want in it. I go, okay, well, you're going to have like executive producer. He's like, I don't want my name on it. The credit belongs to you guys are in the trenches.
Wow.
And I got like filled up with emotion going like, oh my God. And all of a sudden I had this confidence like, whoa, that
Real
chunk
now.
plus my chunk plus I'm like, all of a sudden we're like already on the path to hitting, because Kickstarter,
number.
like you got to hit the number or you don't get any of it.
Right.
So all of a sudden I had confidence. And then that happened with a few people and then people were putting it. And it was this amazing lesson of what you said. People weren't snickering. Maybe some people are snickering behind my back.
Okay.
That's possible. But other people were like psyched to get involved. They're telling people about it. They were, it opened up this thing where it's like, I couldn't have done it without these friends. And it was people that have known me for 30 years, 40 years in some cases, fit my whole life in some cases.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that energy, it was amazing. We hit the goal plus more. We go to Oklahoma. I'm completely psyched. The night before, I usually don't get that nervous when I'll get like right before you start a job, you always have a little jitters. But the night before, I was like all of a sudden freaked out. And the morning we were starting to shoot, I go and I said to Blake, I got to say it out loud. I go, I'm fucking nervous. I go, this thing's gonna suck. I'm not ready. It's not ready. Because I had so much pressure on myself. I'm like, I have like all these people in my life have thrown down on me.
Right.
And I'm like, it better be good.
Isn't that amazing though? We talk about this all the time, right? How about not what's the worst that can happen? How about what's the best?
Here's what happened.
Right?
But this is where, and go back to the football thing. In football, I remember I used to be really nervous before the games. And once I'd get hit, the first hit, then I was in the game.
Dude, I'm the same way.
And I would feel great.
You want to get hit?
So
when the surf's big, right? And I'll sit on the beach and I'm like, oh, dude, it's a little too big. Like, what am I doing, dude? And I go out there and I paddle out and I duck dive under a couple of waves. And I'm like, fuck, it's still big. Take off on my first wave, sick wave, and then I'm like, all right,
you're in it.
We're in it now.
Well, that's what happened with us. We had a location. We had gone around and secured, they sign off a release on location. And this one place, there was a gas station. We went in the day before and they said, no, we're not going to, they didn't want to sign off. They're like, no. So we were like, we're stealing that location. We're going to set the camera up over here. I'm going to go in. We're going to pull the car in. We're going to go pay for gas. We're going to fill up. It's this thing that happens. We have rubber gloves on in these yellow gloves.
Yeah.
And I'm filling up a can of gas. The kid is filling up my car, and we're going to shoot it from over here, and we're going to drive out, whatever. We're going to, wait till there's no one at the pumps. So this is our first shot. So we're like, screw it. We're going to do it. We go in, we do it, we shoot it, we go back, and we shoot it a couple of times. Nobody calls us out on it, whatever. I go over to the DP, and I'm like, he goes, dude, it's sick. It looks, and all of a sudden I was like, boom. It was like I got hit, and now I was fully in it. And then the rest of the shoot was magical. Yeah. It was magical. But it was like putting it all on the line. And then it was interesting, though, that happened the night before and the morning of. It was all of a sudden, I'm going 2013 to 2025, all these people's money. Yeah. All this public thing of like, support my movie. And now it's like, okay, go. And you're like, oh my God.
It's just another thing though. And I think you said it too, the bigger wave or the bigger surf. Yeah. The bigger challenge, right? I like the way you said it too. I'm like really, I'm anxious and I'm nervous. Are you, or are you excited? Yeah. And is it just another big wave? Like I got like a 3-footer, then I got an overhead, then I did a double overhead, and God is just taking you to these bigger things. Like I'm sure you had, or you're saying that you've had like those moments before where you're like, maybe even on The Sopranos or whatever it was, like, oh my God, I got three lines. Maybe I'm under or overestimating by a little bit. To now I'm making my own film.
Yeah. How does that
if
compare?
you didn't do that one, if you didn't do the 3-footer to the overhead to the double overhead, anxious, more anxious. Oh my God, I need medication. Anxious. You know, right? Like, do you get to? Because I believe we get to. Do you get to be the president? Do you get to make your own movie? Do you get to have your own podcast if you haven't taken those other steps? Because I know for a fact you don't just get to become a producer.
Yeah.
Without having acted. You don't get to become without having, you don't get to become president without being an account executive first.
Yeah.
You got to learn.
Yeah.
Right? So, and those are, I was like, yeah, I wonder if somebody would have told me. I mean, I'm grateful that my dad was always there and gave me the money or the pep talk or the pat on the ass, like, you're going to be okay. It's like, it's not anxiety. You're excited.
Yeah.
You're excited. Now go in there and do it. Yeah. Right? Like, go in there and film this movie. They told you can't do it? Fuck them.
Yeah.
Do it anyway.
Yeah.
Do it anyway.
Yeah. No, it was incredible experience. And the timing of losing my dad right before I went away to do it was
wow.
He's like a part of the movie. I mean, like, everybody on the crew knew my dad by the end because some weird stuff happened. And it's not even weird. It's just like that stuff when you're saying you look up and you're like, God was involved in some way.
Yeah.
I had literally at one point a woman who followed me on Instagram, who was in Canada, and she reached out because people were like donating. Like at one point, and not only did we raise the money, but then like Deirdre's cousin James at one point goes, "Hey, what else can we do? Good luck with the shoot. What else can we do? We want to can we get lunch for the crew?" I'm like, "You already put money in. Like, you don't have to do anything else, but thank you." The next week he follows up, "What can we do?" I was like, "I guess we could do, if you want to do lunch for the crew." Mm-hmm. And he said he put out a text, and within like couple of minutes, there was like $400 they sent to do it. So I did this video on Instagram saying that and saying like, we're so grateful and all this. So this woman sees it, and she doesn't want her name said either, but she was amazing. She reaches out on DM. Now, I had DM'd back to her a couple of times because if someone follows me, I'll try to be, interact with them in some way, but not much. Like, I didn't know this woman. She says, "I want to do something for the crew." And I said, "Okay, well, are you sure?" I'm like, you don't have to, but thank you so much. Yeah. Anyway, she follows up. She ends up doing this like pretty big cast and crew dinner that she says, "I want to do this." And I said, "Thank you so much. It's incredible." She goes, "That last post you put up of your dad," she said, my mom is close to the end. And I've followed your posts of your dad, and especially that last one. She said, "I was very moved and inspired by him." So she goes, "This meal's on him." Oh, and great. I got up and I told that to the whole cast and crew. Yeah. And I was like, emotional while telling that. I said, my dad, that was his thing. He loved taking, like, he would come to see a play of mine, and then he would take everybody out afterward and get everybody dinner. Like, that's what he loved to do. And I'm like, so this, and like, there was a guy on the crew who's like in the camera department. He came up to me the next day. He's like, "Yeah, I don't really cry much." He's like, "But I lost it when you started talking about your dad." Yeah. And he's like, and the whole, so my dad was like there for the whole shoot. Yeah. And it was, so it was just surreal. And while I'm talking about my dad, like I said, my mom is pretty awesome incredible. Too. Oh, I'm very lucky, very, very lucky with the parents I got. They're completely supportive, always have been. You asked how they were when I said I was going to be an actor. My dad was like, he's like, "We'll support you psychologically, spiritually, just not financially."
Yes. Okay. Which by the way, when we were talking about it on the way in, and we've talked about this before too, my dad was the same way when I dropped out of college in my freshman year, and they had supported me the whole time. I came home and there never had been any real repercussions or consequences. So that was the first time when I really saw my dad. And I remember it because he said, well, you know, you're going to have to make a choice. And I'm thinking, it's never really been that bad. You know, this too shall pass. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. You know, what are you thinking? I'm asking him. He goes, well, you can get a job or get the fuck out. I'm like, get the fuck out where? Like out of the house? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's kind of extreme, don't you think? But that's fathering. Like, you want to be an actor? Great. We're here for you. We'll be at the movie. We'll be at the premieres. Yeah. We'll dress up. We'll play the part. We'll buy the round of drinks at the bar.
Yeah.
From that, we'll always do that. Great dads. But at the end of the day, you know, tough love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have to, when you were decided to produce your own film, did you have to go home and sell it to the family at all? Or was it more like, they were like, hell yeah, like, do that?
Like my wife and
your
kids?
Your wife and the kids, yeah.
I mean, I think... I've been talking about this movie for so long.
Yeah.
And at one point, and I said to my son, who's now 18, but I said, don't ever doubt dad. And he goes, what are you talking about? And there were, I don't know when it was, 5 years ago or something. I would always be like, Mickey Brasch talking about it. And at one point he was like, do you really think you're going to make this thing? And it was at a point when I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I remember it hit me. He may not have even realized it, but to me, I was like, am I going to make this? Because I have been telling them for all this time, I'm going to make this thing. Mm-hmm. And if I just eat it and go to my grave not making it, that's not really a great lesson.
Example, right?
Yeah. So then when I was like, you want to doubt me? I'm like, but at the other hand, it's like you go away and like, Deirdre's now taking the kids to all the things they have to go do, taking care of the dogs, doing all the things. Like, it's a lot.
Like, I mean, the selfishness of your dreams that you were talking about in the beginning.
And I also said I was like, I'm going to be out on this one. I'm really out. Like, I would go away for other jobs, but I said, this one, I was like, I want to be off the radar. I'm going to be like full on doing this thing. Mm-hmm. So I spoke to them, but it wasn't like as much as on other things because I was really, down a rabbit hole. And very supportive. And also, luckily, it felt, again, like the timing felt good because it was a good year. I was like, it's like, I got to do it now. Like I said, you never know what the year is going to bring.
Yeah.
This happened to be a good year. So I felt like, okay, I've worked like the whole year up until now, and this is the perfect time to go do it. And I got it in, and then, but it's hard. Yeah, it's like they supported it because they knew how important it was to me. But even that, you go like,
I'm missing this, I'm missing that, I'm away from. Yeah. I mean, I know you're married a long time, like I am, and I got to spend time with you and your fiance. And now you're engaged, and any time apart. I mean, my wife and I are married for 31 years. We're together for 33. When I travel on business for 2 nights, 3 nights, or whatever it is.
You said she comes with you, right?
A lot of the time, at the end, when as you go up the ladder, I think you're like, well, I'm going to bring my wife with me.
You don't want to be away from her. Right?
I don't want to be away from her. I don't. Yeah. I can honestly say that. I don't care what I love my wife more than anything, and really, God's first, my wife and daughter second, and everybody else, and then I would put myself third. But it's difficult because you're like, I do want to do this, and I do need to do this because I need to set the example for my kids. Like, you can do anything you set your mind to, talk about it, build it, have the plan. But at the same time, you're like, I really want to be back in Long Beach for the summer, kind of sitting on the beach and hanging with my wife and kids.
Yeah.
And it's so tough because in every build that I've done and every job that I've had, and they've been, ever since that guy left, and I've gotten these careers and these build-outs for these corporations that have become more and more involved, you're taken away because you are traveling, right? Yeah. And you are. And I'm sure it was a battle, too, because you're like, I'm just going to bring Deirdre and the kid. But deep down inside, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. You're going to be, like, especially this one, because I was wearing multiple hats.
Sure.
I just needed to be fully there. Yeah.
When you first started acting, though, and like you have a different mindset, right? You're a single man. You're like, it's just about you and your goal and your dream. at one point, like at what point does it like shift where you're like, you start to let people in on that and you're like, okay, like now I have to kind of like morph my dream and my goals into like what somebody else wants? Because there was a part in my life where I was just like, you can come along if you do what I want to do. You know, and you don't really get too many.
Obviously, you didn't marry.
No,
that doesn't work at all. Right?
It doesn't. It doesn't work.
Right.
It does not. It does not work. But I mean, like, at what point? I think we all have to be like, okay, like it's not all about me, even though I want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, there are just times where you'll do something that's you just kind of have to figure it out. You know, when we lived out west, we would come back every Christmas and every summer, and Deirdre would come back with our kids like in the summer for a chunk, and I would come back if I could, or sometimes I would then. I mean, in a way, it forced you to. What I started to do was I would call or email casting directors I knew in New York and say, "Hey, I'm going to be back on the East Coast. Do you need anything?" Because I was kind of like, now I wasn't involved in the local casting anymore. So now I'd be like, come back, and I would get jobs while I was on the East Coast. Sometimes not. But like, you just kind of figure it out because you're like, all right, this is what we're doing. And then sometimes, there was one time where my son and I drove cross country, and that's on the drive, I got a call about a job in LA. I got here, and 2 days later, I went back out there, shot this job, and then came back. And then what we would do is always say like, whenever I was working, you go like, it's tough to be away, but then it's like also you're grateful because in my line of work, it's like when the work comes, you want to be able to do it, you know, unless you're in a certain position where you're kind of don't need it, you know, but like you kind of like when the work comes, you kind of, that's what you do.
It's funny. All I can think about, and I know for you, you're so passionate about the podcast and all the conversations we've had, but how hard you work, which is super important. Yeah. Now I'm thinking I wonder how many kids, like I think first of all, it's going to be tremendously beneficial to a lot of young people who are like, I'm just going to be an actor when I get older.
Right.
And you know what? That's great. And I think you should. I think you should pursue it with all of your heart, with all of your dreams, and tell your family about it. But I think at the same time, you should realize that, you know, it's you just like becoming a good actor, right? In order to get these great roles, you got to put the effort in. There are good actors, there are successful actors, there are good CEOs, there are successful CEOs, but don't think for 1 minute that it's just like, hey. And I think a lot of younger people are like, why don't no. I don't have to do that. Yeah. I don't have to. They may be telling me to do that, but I think I'm going to tell them no.
Yeah.
And it's like
sometimes it is good. I mean, there are sometimes saying no is the most powerful thing you can have.
Absolutely.
But there's also
But I think in terms of like hard work, and in terms of dedication, and in terms of going out and getting what you want, you got to go out and get it.
Yeah.
Do you say now when you say turning down, when you say no, do you mean like turning down certain roles where you know that might not be beneficial to your
turning down a role or turning down an audition or when you're negotiating, saying no to what they're offering, and then to get more, you got to do that. And sometimes that's effective, and then sometimes they're like, this is what it is, take it or leave it, and then you have to make a decision. Is it worth it to do it at this price? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, case by case basis. Because sometimes you'll do something that's how I feel like we got talent on our film. There was a script that people liked, and there were people that were super talented that did it for less than what they would normally get to get the experience. They knew they were working with an actor, writer, producer, and my friend Blake, who directed it, is an actor as well and a writer. They knew they were going to get a certain environment, and they got that. There's always something in it. So like same thing with me when I'm looking at a job. Sometimes there's more than just what you're getting paid. Sometimes it's the experience. So like usually it's like the better the material, the more you're like, well, I want to be involved in that. Yeah. And you may be Whereas if that's why you hear of these people that these like pay or play deals where you'll get some star who's, someone who's like a big name maybe in the past, and they'll go do an indie film and they'll pay him, $1 million to go do a few days work. They may not like that material. They're like, well, the script isn't great, but they're going to pay me $1 million for like a week's work.
Right.
I'll go do it. Whereas they may go do some other film that's an indie filmmaker that they love and it's great role and great material, and they're like, I'll do this at scale.
Right.
They'll probably get money on the back end, but they're like, I'll go do this because I want to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then there are some, like, I don't know if you guys watched. Did you watch the Charlie Sheen special?
I have not. I've heard about it.
Yeah,
haven't seen it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And at
Wild Man,
which I love. But at the end of it all, 2.5 Men. I mean, technically, he's not really even capable of doing the show, but they need him on the show. And I don't need to tell you guys what they were paying. Highest ever, I think, paid in terms of a sitcom, what they were paying him.
What was he making? $2 million?
An episode.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, did they just say an episode? And it was like an episode, and he was showing up in varying states of mind, which I love that, because I did that for a number of years too, which is great. And you always think you're much more productive than you actually are, especially when someone's saying, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want,
right,
and we're going to pay you all that. And you're thinking, like, I'm wondering, like, some of the surrounding cast and character, which he had some great, in the show as well. And I'm thinking, they're going, I'm like making a third of that.
Not even,
Right. And why am I here? So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I wonder if those actors or business people or whoever they may be who are showing up for the money because they've got the name or whatever it is, they throw off the game of everybody else.
I think the magic of like doing like our own little indie film,
It's going to be great.
The magic of it is anybody who's there wants to be there.
Correct.
They're not there for the money. I can assure you that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So there's a spirit on it that is different than when everybody's getting paid a lot.
Yeah.
There's a certain magic that comes with that. Now the challenge will be getting it seen without having big names in it, and especially in this day and age. So that will be the next challenge. But the first thing was make a great film. So we're going into post-production now. We got to make a great film. But then when it comes to, you're hoping you're going to get into the great film festivals, you're going to win grand jury awards, you're going to get
Are you utilizing all your relationships to market it, to get it in?
Yeah, I mean, we're not even at that stage yet. We're not, but we are, you've got to get the best case scenarios. You get a bidding war. If you have distributors that want this thing, there could be a bidding war and you can make money, and then it gets out and it gets seen. Maybe it gets theatrical release and then it goes to streaming.
Or both at the same time. I think these, you see Netflix now acquired WBD. Like, these streaming platforms and these movie creators have all merged into one. You see the theatrical releases also being released on those platforms.
Yeah.
Content is king.
Yeah,
Mediocre content is king.
I mean,
right?
the thing is, I think we're going to have something that's going to be, I think it's going to be special. It's just, you've also got to get it. Like, if you think about it, this day and age, and this is the scary part of this industry right now for me, for everybody. And it's like, I've gone to the movies recently and out in Long Island. It's not like you're in the city at the Angelica, whatever, just out at like, the Regal in Lynbrook. Or,
do you have reclining seats?
Yeah. Or
So it's pretty.
They're all there.
It's great. You know what? You're watching
popcorn.
You're watching a big movie, and there's like you and 4 other people in there.
So I just did it.
And
just did that.
And then you're seeing the trailers, and almost every trailer has an alien or or somebody's getting killed or whatever. So I'm thinking about Mickey Brasch, and I'm going, well, if I saw the trailer for Mickey Brasch, personally, I would go, a movie about humans, I want to go see it.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing any trailers for that. So who knows? Maybe the pendulum has swung back by the time I'm there. The other thing is, this is a very, very, low budget film that I think is going to look bigger than it is. But how many of those have I even seen? It's hard to see them. It's hard to get the real estate in the thing in the theater, because not as many people are going to the theaters anymore because everybody's got great TVs at home.
Yeah, home theater.
Everybody's getting, you got great television. I mean, you're looking at Mayor of Kingstown or Landman or any of these shows, and you're like, well, I could just sit in my living room and watch this.
My living room is like the Regal Theater. I have the electric remote couch.
Yeah.
I have a 75-inch that's about 7.5, 8 feet away.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it, ultimately, there's no urine or sugar on the floor or whatever the hell it is. I don't have to wear my.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that bums me out about it. I think films are best seen
For sure.
in a collective experience. Now, nowadays, then again, I see someone texting. It drives
In the
me
theater.
nuts. Oh, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But like going and seeing something with a group is how it was supposed to be done, I think. And recently we went to the Landman season 2 premiere.
Yes.
And it was a packed theater, Lincoln Center, like great screen, great sound.
Yeah.
And we're watching it with a group. It was interesting to watch a TV show that I've already seen the whole season of.
In a theater.
And then see it with a group of people. And it was a really funny episode.
Yeah.
And we're all laughing. And you're like, this is pretty cool. And that's what I always loved about going. I love going to the movies. And when
Together, as a group.
Going as a group, I love, even when I was like in the 90s, when I first was in New York City and I was acting, I went and saw a bunch of things by myself.
Really?
I still do it. I go to the theater.
What was the first movie you saw alone? It's because that's, by the way, talk about fear and anxiety. I could tell you this day, it was 28 years ago. I went to see the first movie by myself. Somebody said, you got to try it. You're going to love it. I went to see The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler by myself. And I tell a lot of people, I say, you have to go see a movie by yourself. It's just
take
gross.
yourself
I do it all the
yourself
time.
out to dinner,
And you know what else? I eat by myself too.
Yeah, it's
and
the
I
best.
love that.
Yeah.
But what would do you remember it? The first one?
I'll tell you.
Mine stands out because it was a tremendous.
I don't know if I could tell you the first one, but I remember the one that I remember that was memorable because, well, my first year in the city, I studied with this guy, Terry Schreiber, and Terry would always talk about his student, Edward. And Edward was like kind of making a big splash, and Edward went out and, had a screen test for this big movie, and it was with Richard Gere, and it was in this huge, it was like an airplane hangar, this huge thing, and he had to go back and he was talking about the studio, felt like an airplane. He goes and he did it, and then they were going to redo it at the end of the weekend because they didn't shoot it well, and blah, blah, blah. Tells this whole story. He's going to do this other movie with so-and-so. It was Ed Norton. The movie was Primal Fear. Wow. So I had been in the city for almost a year at that point, and I was living on the Upper East Side. I went to a theater that's no longer there, 85th and First. I went by myself, sat in the back, and watched Primal Fear. And Ed Norton, I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's like his
big Ed Norton.
It was that was the role that everybody wanted. Like Matt Damon talks about, like everybody wanted that role. That's why Damon and Affleck were like, we got to do Good Will Hunting because we can't get this role. He was unbelievable. I remember he has that turn in it, and I watched it. I remember being in there by myself. The credits come up, and I was just like, oh man, this guy's good.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy is really good. I just remember being like, holy shit, I got to step up my game. This guy is good.
He's really, and he's still really good.
But he's still really good. But I have gone, because there's this thing, The Artist's Way. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
You never heard of that?
No.
Julie Cameron. It's this thing. It's like it's a book, but it's kind of like you do morning pages. It's a lot of writing. But one of the things is she would talk about going on an artist's date every week. And it's like you're taking your inner artist out, whether you can go to Central Park and you're looking around, or you can go to a museum, you can go to the movies, you can whatever. So like that idea of like going like solo, that's what it was. It's like you're going to a movie as an actor and you're going to be inspired, and it's not necessarily about talking. It's like being there and just going, like taking this thing in. And so I've kind of done that throughout my adult years. I've gone, you want to go see something, and like there's something cool about just going solo.
I think that's been my whole career because I've had these through advertising and marketing, working with television stations around the country. I've traveled to see them, and you travel to functions. And, the first night, I usually like to get there early and prepare. So I would take myself out to dinner. I had the best night. I took myself out to dinner in Austin, Texas. We were there for some small market TV conference, and I found this omakase, 5-star omakase restaurant. It was $250 for the ticket. There was 13 other seats, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And I sat in between this roller derby. She was a professional roller. Yeah, like. Ooh, roller derby, and then these 2 other guys that were there on a date, and the 4 of us. I just had the best time, and I'm like, I think about it now. I've traveled around the world. I've sat next to unbelievable people. I've been detoured. I had right before COVID, my daughter was in college. We were flying back from Dallas, and there's a huge snowstorm going down in New York. We think the guy is jamming in this airplane. I guess that's what they do to get us home before the storm. We don't make it. So we get rerouted to Albany. All right. I'm sitting in first class. I'm sitting next to a guy way younger than me. We start talking about custom suits. Well, don't you know that we just end up, he's like, hey, by the way, as we're going down in Albany, not New York, we're, hours away from where, he goes, hey, by the way, I rented a Suburban. I'm driving back to the city tonight. I don't give a shit about this storm. And if you want to come with me, you can. And I'm like, not, by the way. Okay. Next thing I know, I'm in a cab on the way to the rental car, get in the Suburban, the 2.5-hour drive from Albany to New York City. I don't even want to tell you guys this biggest shit show ever turns into a 5-hour drive.
Yeah, of course.
And in the middle of that drive, I get a call from my daughter who's playing lacrosse at Holy Cross. And she's like, hey, Dad, do we belong to AAA? Do you ever get that call from, I know you don't have kids.
Yeah.
You have I'm like, what? What do you mean AAA? Like, for what? Nothing. Really? Well, so she drove the car in a snowstorm, or the beginning of a snowstorm, which I said 2 things. I'm going to give you the car for college. Do me a favor. Don't drive in the snow. Don't drink and drive. Probably not in that order. Probably don't drink and drive. Don't drive in the snow. And she drove, and she lost control. She completely hammered the shit out of the car. Thank God nothing happened to her. But I'm halfway between Albany with some guy that I don't know. We're in suits and wingtips going 15 miles an hour in a total whiteout. And I'm like, she's in Massachusetts. I'm in, I don't know. And I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, but I think those things, those movies, those dinners, those yeses that should be no's are some, I always tell that story. And I'm like, first of all, you're going to tell your daughter, don't ever get in the car with a stranger.
Yeah.
I got in the car with a stranger
Yeah.
that I had never met. I don't think I could have taken him in a fight. He was easily 15 years younger than me and in much better shape. And we end up in a snowstorm. I'm dead on the side of the road. But the biggest adventure, the biggest detour.
It's a good road trip movie.
Yeah. Good road, right? Right? Could you produce that? Could you be? You play the part of me. Yeah, I love that. This is great. Fun.
You would love that for him to play you. And tell everybody that you were 164, but you shrunk.
6'7".
6'7", yeah.
He's gonna pay me at 6'7". And I did play lacrosse in college, and I did a lot of other things, which should be cool. So at the end of the day, you're pretty damn happy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you are.
Yeah. It feels good to
be Matt Del Negro.
Well, no, it feels good. I feel like the work has been maybe like all the work I put in is starting to come back.
Like the first time you could take a deep breath in your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you're saying that to me because like right now I'm,
doing a lot.
But right now I'm going like someone asked me 2 days ago, they said, so what's next? And I was like, I don't know. I'm auditioning for what's next. Yeah. I don't know. So I don't, yes, I'm kind of like, I'm I've got the movie in post-production, which is something that I'm, driving that along with my team of people on that. I've got another TV show with 2 other collaborators that we've been developing for a long time. That's kind of getting in a good shape. So those are the only 2 things that are like right on my plate that I know about. And then the rest is auditioning. So, again, you go like start with the end, but you don't know when. So I don't know. I could see you at the gym tomorrow and be like, hey, I got something I auditioned for 2 weeks ago that I didn't know about. Or I could see you in April. You're like, what's going on? I could be like, I don't know what's happening. Nothing's happened since then. Yeah. That's just, and that's not down on me. That's just what it is. So, I mean, the reason I almost couldn't be here today, there was something I was waiting to hear on for, I think, 4 weeks. And then I found out it was like, well, there's an older version of your character too. So they have to see, they've got like 3 of you that they're waiting on. Wow. And they're auditioning the older version. The guy they got as the older version looked more like one of the other guys. You're just like, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, that will be up to if I'm supposed to get it or not.
Right.
My view of it though is just, I'll be grateful if I get it because it's work on a cool show that I like. And then I thought, if I don't get it, I'll be grateful because then that'll give me more time to work on the TV show, to be with my family. It's right before Christmas. I've been away a lot. Yeah. So again, like those are like I don't know if they're like tricks of the brain or what I do or how I reframe it in my reframe it in my mind. Yeah. But when I knew that that it was me and a couple other people and it depended on another casting, I just put it in my mind like, okay, that's how I'm going to view it. So that when they called and they said, it's not going your way, I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm going
to focus on Christmas and my wife and my kids and my in-laws and just all going to the tree lighting mass and all these great things.
Yeah. So
it's nice to hear people say that too, though. Like, let's just kick back and enjoy the tree lighting.
Yeah, I have to say though, throughout the whole interview, like I've just heard you like be really grateful for your life. Like like there's never been, when I ask some of the questions, there's never been like you're like, oh fuck that, like sometimes I'm like fuck the industry.
Because you know what I mean. Trust me, right before I started the podcast, I was a little bit like, that's why I had to start it because I was getting cynical and I felt like you never
get ready to tear the industry down?
You never get anything with anger. Like if you audition and you're like angry, it doesn't really, I feel like you're better when you're loose. Mm-hmm. So the overall thing that I'll say to young actors is it's really tough. It was way tough before you became an actor. It's going to be way tough in 100 years from now, if it's even around anymore, if we're not taken over by AI, it's tough. It is what it is. And then my next thing is nobody put a gun to your head and said you had to do this. Right. So whenever I get in a mood where I'm like bitching about it, I go, hey, no one put a gun to your head and said you had to be an actor. You chose this. Yeah. This is what it is. This is the game that you chose to play. So I've gotten pissed off. I get pissed off. But like even with like the money and negotiating and all that, it's like you need leverage. If you get leverage, if you're Charlie Sheen had leverage in that situation, obviously, because he was acting like a total a-hole and he was still making $2 million. He obviously had leverage. And if you're the other person on that show with him, my thing is like this. Yeah, you might be pissed that you're making this and Charlie's making that. And but when you went to do your negotiations, that's where you landed based on your leverage. Mm-hmm. So yes, you can be pissed about it. Right. But it is what it is. And then you got to take that into the next time you're going. And if that pissed you off enough, the next time you're going to say no until you get what you want.
Let me ask you this. Name the other person in 2.5 Men.
John Cryer was the other guy.
Well done. Okay, Cryer, that's right. Because a lot of the people you would ask, and they'd be,
and he was making. He was probably still making $1 million an episode.
He was making a lot of money. But I've asked people, and they're like,
"He's had a pretty good."
They're like, "I think that was. Was that? I'm not. I think I'm not. Was it Matthew Broderick?" I'm like, "No, it wasn't Matthew Broderick."
But it does look like him. I'm sure
it does look like him. Not anymore. Yeah, he shaved his head.
Oh, okay.
He shaved his head. He looks good. Yeah. He's going to have some good roles.
That's the thing. It's like, you hope to or aim to have choices and leverage.
Sure.
And, that's...
What gives you the freedom to do that, do you think?
Well, I mean, let's say, yeah, that does. Because if you don't need the work for the money, then you have more ability to say no. Yeah, you have more ability to say no, which could then makes you more elusive, which makes people want you more, pay you more.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, making my own movie. It's like, hopefully that shows my range, shows me off in a way that you're like, oh, okay, that gives me more leverage. I've seen that so many times. We talk about it. I think McConaughey, when he comes out and says, I was the king of the rom-coms.
Yeah, and he turned him down.
And he took the step back, and I just saw him in, which he did a great job with, Runaway Bus.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
The Lost Bus, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good movie, really well done. Totally.
It's a great director, Paul Greengrass.
And I wonder if that's what it was too, because I'm like, I don't see him in that role, but he did a good job with it. I know he's trying not to be where all the easy money came from.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked, because I'm like, he definitely has money in the bank.
Yeah.
Probably enough to get him through, and then some.
Yeah.
And so now he's in this situation where it's like, I'm just gonna have some fun.
He's working with a great, that's a great director. That director is known for his taking he did what was it, Flight 91? He did that. He did. He may have done. I think he did the one with Tom Hanks as the
pilot.
Get Off My Boat. Yeah, I think that's Paul Greengrass.
When they're attacked by the
Somalian
Somali pirates.
I think that's Paul Green. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Great movie. Another great movie.
But yeah, he uses a lot of real people.
You feel like you're in the movie.
Yeah,
I felt like in this bus and these forest fires and
because he uses real people to intermix with the actors.
I'm sweating. I have smoke inhalation. I'm dying.
But yeah, McConaughey. His book Green Lights, is he talks about that, how he, he was being given this and he had to say no and he had to take a risk and do Dallas Buyers Club and he lost all that weight when he didn't even have the financing fully. I mean, he took a swing and he knocked it out of the park.
Home run.
He knocked it out of the park, and then all of a sudden
that movie was tough to watch.
And then the timing of that. And then True Detective, and then all of a sudden he called it the McConaissance.
Yeah, but all of a sudden, don't you love him for that? He just creates.
He is funny.
So can you do that for Mickey Brasch? This is it. I think this is it. This is going to be Dallas Buyers Club for you.
The Brasch. Yeah, that's the hope.
Right.
That's the hope.
I think that's. Do
you leave it?
The funny thing is Anyway, go on.
Yeah. No. Do you leave it just this is amazing? You feel like.
My stance on this is the writing of it was so rewarding. Doing it with Blake, getting it to. I only got it to I got it to the 20-yard line. And I knew I wasn't in the end zone with the script. I just knew I wasn't there, but I knew I had something in my head. He came in, and together we got it there. But more him create. He fleshed it out in a way that I was not doing. And I was like, this works, that doesn't, what about more of this? But he was he really got it across the finish line, I think. So that was really rewarding. Then we did the Kickstarter. That was really rewarding.
Yeah.
Then we did the production. That was really rewarding. Mm-hmm. Now we're in post-production. I'm hoping we crush it the way we did with that. And then I go, the rest of it, of how it's received, I'm going to have to wait and see. You go back to the beginning of it's not in my power to say how people will receive it. Some people.
Well, I got my tuxedos ready.
All right, get them ready.
I'm telling
Polish
you, I think it's going to be. Darren's going to be there. We got limos and helicopters.
Good.
Yeah. So,
but you don't know. So I'm kind of I feel like I've already won 3 times.
Yeah.
I want to win again with post-production, and then. Hopefully, it goes back to the Rick Rubin thing, who's actually a Long Beach guy.
I know, I love
which
him.
is, he says, you make the song, you go deep into it, you got to do what works for you. We made the movie that we want to see. And then he's like, maybe if you do that, a couple of other people agree with you. So that's what we're hoping for that, but you can't really control that.
It's so tough too, and it's funny that you mentioned Ruben and some of that talent that he's worked with, some of the best rappers in the business that he brings into the studio, and you go and you see Rick Rubin, and then you see the crew, and I'm a huge. I mean, if you saw my posts last week, first of all, Spotify age 48, which I am, and then like #1 artist DJ Khaled, which is Rick Rubin. Yeah. I mean, he's done some amazing stuff. I love that. Like, he's so open to that. Yeah. Like, I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna bring it in. We're gonna get Kanye in here. Yeah. It's gonna be an absolute shit show, and we're gonna get so rich. Yeah. And I'm like, I wonder if that's the key to success. Just not worrying about. I can't believe we just bought this car and. What? 9 miles later, it broke. What are we going to do now? Instead of like from the stages of Sundance, we're going to be. And I think that's the key.
And with a great team.
And
we had a great
communicating,
incredible
collaborating.
Team. Yeah.
All those people knowing when I can do this. But you're going to do that, and you're going to do that, and you've got this.
That was the biggest takeaway for me.
I love that.
Is in recent years, and it's funny, in the beginning of my podcast, I had a lot of entrepreneurs on. They would all say, you got to learn to delegate. And I was like, I can't delegate. I got to do it all myself. And then eventually with this, I brought Blake in to write the script with me. It got better. I said, I was going to direct originally. I said, Blake was like, if I write the script with you, can I direct? He's made 2 films. I had him direct. Best decision ever.
Yeah.
He crushed it. He picked a lot of his crew. He did a lot of the casting. I put some people in mind, but like he did so much, and we had such great people. And now this other TV thing I'm working with 2 great talents.
Yeah.
And you just realize, like for me, it freed me up. I've been able to go act this entire year while these projects are still moving along with talented people. I don't need to be there every day. I'm not as good as them at certain things.
Right.
Like I've realized,
you're a part of the team.
Blake's a better writer than me.
Yeah.
He's a better director than me.
Yeah.
Great.
It's good to know that.
Like it's like, and in the past I would have been like jealous or like, no, I could do this. I want to show this. And now I was like, this is great. He's taking a lot of the responsibility so that before the scene, I'm an actor. I'm not actually thinking about all the producerial things right before I'm shooting. I'm actually like, for this moment, I'm an actor. The crew's in there setting up the shot. They're lighting it. They don't need me in there.
No.
It's bad if I'm in there.
There's freedom in that. And
there was.
And I think there's a better...
letting go, like we talked about,
Trusting them, putting the right people in place, letting them do their thing.
And I love that. And then you see them, then you get, the satisfaction of not doing that. The more satisfaction comes from seeing people do it.
And also succeed. Doing it with people.
Yeah.
Like Blake and I, through this whole process, have been able to celebrate all these milestones along the way. Whereas if you do it, he made 2 films by himself. His first one really on his own. I was in it for, I was like a supporting role, but he made this thing on his own. And he's like, it was cool. He's like, but I was on my own. Yeah. I had no support. He's like, this is so cool to be able to like call each other and kind of like celebrate these little milestones and share it, and then also share the burden and all. It's
2 things I learned early on. Somebody said, in terms of like rustling cattle, you can run down and get one, or you can walk down and get them all. Mm-hmm. And I thought
that's Robert Duvall says that to Sean Penn in Colors.
I say it too. But then the other one I love, so you got me on that one. So this one I'll give credit to Peloton. It's my hashtag on Peloton, and it's Together We Go Far. And I just have learned that in life. Like delegating, my thought behind delegating was, it's just going to be quicker and easier if I do it myself. Selfish, ego, all of the above. And then I realized where my real success and where the real growth came, where I got so much enjoyment out of, giving a little direction or pulling it out of them and then letting them run with it and win. Yeah. I love nothing more rewarding than promoting somebody.
Yeah.
I just love that.
Yeah.
I just like, hey, we're going to give you more money. We're going to give you a new title. We're going to give you more responsibility. By the way, you don't get more money and less
not
work,
working. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's going to be more work, but it's not really more work. It's different work because I'm going to have you doing something else.
Yeah.
Like so rewarding for you, so rewarding for me. I've been able to do that for like the last 20 years almost. All learning and letting go more and more over those 20 years in the leadership roles. But I love that you say that. Like we find freedom in giving up or giving over or giving out, right? And becoming a part of.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if like, you know, on the lacrosse field or, you know, surfing, certainly you get to go out there and be Darren. Mm-hmm. But on the lacrosse field, it's like, I wonder if in high school it would have been that one guy who went on to go and be part of the U.S. team. I wonder if the team that you guys were on at the time would have been better, like showboating or I want to be center midi. Yeah, but you're not fast enough.
Yeah.
You're not, you know, short enough. You're not good enough. You can't play. You're not ambidextrous. I wonder if we could be much more successful if somebody said, hey, just learn how to be a better part of a team. Learn how to play as part of a team better.
Yeah.
I think there is give and take. I think you do have to be selfish.
Yeah.
In some circumstances, most definitely. In the interview process, right?
Yeah.
You got to tell them why you're the best. Well, check the record.
Yeah.
Right. But then I think when you're making a movie, I think I love to hear that. You know your strengths. I don't know that they're weaknesses. I just think you're better at some things than you are at others.
Yeah.
And that's what takes you, maybe that's why you are where you are now. Because over the course of all these years that you've been doing it, right? I think they call it, experience, right? The more experience you have, like the more you know, like about Matt. I don't know. I like when I met Matt, I was like, and now I'm really like, wow. You know, it's pretty cool. Same thing with you. Right? From research analyst to having your own podcast and now
we're out here
engaged
trying.
and all these great guests and stuff like that. I'm grateful for, like I said, I've had a lot of freedom over this past year for myself that I didn't expect to have. It's been the best year of my life.
Yeah.
Best year of my life. And within that, uncomfortably uncomfortable. Comfortably uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like so much growth. Just to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Like I would know 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours of.
Yeah, this is like Rogan length now.
This is right.
Oh yeah.
Can we get a gum sponsor in here?
Yeah.
Does anybody have a gum sponsor? Yeah, it's like it's shit.
But yeah, so to bring it in closing, you know,
Wrap it up.
Land the plane.
Land the plane.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
What?
Oh my God.
So, what can you say to anybody that might be looking to start anything? You know. Where they have to jump out of the plane, right? Because you can't jump back in, right?
I would say, yeah. You kind of have to jump off the cliff if you want to fly. But when you do that, you risk potentially crashing on the rocks below, and that's just the risk that you got to take if you want to fly. You're not going to fly just standing on the top of the cliff. So you kind of have to take the leap, and then when it gets tough, which it usually will, everybody that I know, myself included, you just have to know that other people have been there before. And that's the beauty of listening to a podcast like this, or, you know, reading biographies or looking at history, is you see that other people have gone through the fire and come out the other side. And when you see that, then when you know that to be true for other humans, it makes you feel less alone and able to deal with that. Like, there's no magic pill. It's gonna, no matter what, there will be times when you're gonna hit a wall. There will be times when you're, you know, cowering in the corner or like in the fetal position. It is what it is. Like, if you, again, like my friend said to me, how much do you want to make this movie? How uncomfortable are you willing to be to do this? Because, you know.
No risk, no reward.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it kind of, that's part of the whole process. You can't get the good stuff without trudging through some of the tough
No
stuff.
risk, no reward.
Yeah.
No risk, no reward.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, do you want to sit around and just play it safe? Or at the end of my days,
I could have done that, right? That's always my biggest fear is like, I have all these ideas and these things that I want to do, and it's like, I could have done that is like the worst regret feeling for me.
Yeah.
They like not trying, like not being, for me, being in a hospital bed thinking about like all the things that I could have done if I had just tried, right? It doesn't, it's not like, it goes back to what we said before. It's not that big of a deal, right? I'm not that important. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I'm out here, I'm living like everybody else, good, bad, it's going to pass,
Yeah.
but I'm going to get something from it, right? And I'm a feel good guy. I like the way, I like to feel good, and I like the way that feels, and I'm going to continue to pursue that, any way that I can,
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to come, I forget, we talked about a couple of good speakers, but one of the guys says it, I don't want to be on my deathbed and be like, man, why didn't I just try it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like again, it goes all the way back to what's the best that can happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that I'm so excited. Thank you. First of all, thanks so
Thank
much.
you guys for
No, I appreciate it, man.
No, I
really
mean,
do.
even when
It's
I
great.
told Dan, so I mean, it is what we're talking about today, because I'm like, I know, I work out with Matt Del Negro. I said, I don't really work out. I'm at the gym. He's working out. But would you mind if I asked him if we could do a podcast with him? And I just think at that time I had nothing really else going on. And, I was waiting for you to be like, you kidding me, right? I'm really busy.
for sure. I mean,
I think you
yeah.
and Carmine probably thought
Yeah.
that. Like, Doug thinks he's going to get Del Negro. Doug's in for a rude awakening. And so thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because
Thank you guys.
I know this
Yeah.
is valuable time. I'll take you, when you are with your family, like last night to see at Mass with your daughter and, we're all running around, your wife.
Very
That
appreciative.
brings, at this time of the year, that makes my heart sing.
Wow. Thank you guys for having me. It's
So,
great.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
man.
love what you're doing. I love that you're doing it.
I appreciate you saying
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. All right, great.
Rock and roll.